Namaste, everyone. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consulting, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Transformation Q&A Thursday. And before we begin, let us invoke. Place your hands on your heart. Be aware of your heart. Be aware of your crown. Be aware of your heart and your crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to Grandmaster Cho Koksui, Lord Mahaguru Jumeding, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, to Saraswati, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, healing ministers, to the angels of inner and outer healing, inner and outer purification, to our divine selves or higher souls, we humbly invoke for your divine light, love, and power, for your help, guidance, and protection. Thank you for blessing us with the ability to understand deeper spiritual teachings easier to transform our lives and the lives of others. We thank you, Lord God. We thank you all. With gratitude, respect, and love. So be it, so be it, so it is. Thank you. All right. Welcome, everyone. Today is my birthday. Yay! My body is 41 years old as of, let's see, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 41 years ago, my body came into a physical incarnation out through my mother. So working today was a very, very busy day with healing clients. Had a delicious lunch, and now we're going to get into our Q&As for this evening. Right now, I'm actually in Sedona, Arizona, which I just realized rhymes. And this place is a retreat house that's owned by a pranic healer and her Hatha yogi. And she's been here at this location for about 8 years, and it's beautiful. It's really, really nice. It's where I was, kind of on the further end of the property. The Wi-Fi wasn't very good, and then she put a router directly in the like in the actual living facility. So I have super strong Wi-Fi in my place. So now I can do my healings, I can do lectures, I can do everything in that little tiny hut. It's like a little hut. It's very cute. All it is a single room. There's no bathroom. There's no shower. There's no nothing. It's basically one side is a bed, one side is a couch. The middle is like a little tiny desk, super tiny desk. And then in the center, I have my yoga mat. Super easy. Sleep like a rock there, like a Sedona rock. Which this place is beautiful. As I understand it, many, many years ago when I was getting involved in pranic healing, this would have been probably about 16 years ago. My mentor at the time, a former Catholic priest in Sarasota, Florida, he was telling me about different locations around the United States and how there were different energy centers or chakras around the United States. And he says, do you know where the sex chakra of the United States is? I said, I have no idea. This is like, as I'm learning about the chakras, I'm learning about the qualities, how many petals, where it's located on the body, what are the properties, right? And the colors. And he says, so the crown chakra is located, so I'm not going to give you the sex one. You gotta do a little bit of digging, as it were, to find out the sex chakra of the United States. But he says the crown chakra of the United States is located in Sedona, Arizona, which is right here, which is interesting because for about 20 years, I've been hearing about this place. Sedona, all the spiritual people go there, all the healers go there, all the meditation teachers go there. There's like retreats going on constantly year round in Sedona. I was like, okay. But a lot of my perception about Sedona was burned out hippies, shamans only, and that's basically it, right? So I had a skewed perception of Sedona, and I never really resonated coming out because I was not responding to the energy. I was responding to my own limited belief and my own distorted perception of the place, right? So now, namaste. Oops, I got to move this. Here we go. How are you, Beth? I'm flipping this around. Be patient with me, everyone. Perfect. So I had this perception that Sedona was like X, Y, and Z, right? Sedona had a lot of burned out hippies. It had a lot of shaman practitioners, and I never resonated with the shaman tradition, right? The Native American tradition, which is actually ancient. It's thousands and thousands of years old. I more have always resonated with the Tibetan Buddhism or different forms of Hinduism, different forms of yoga. But After coming here and being here since what? I've been here, this will be my third day that I've been here. I'm in awe of Sedona. I'm in awe of how clean it is. I'm in awe of how friendly the people are. I'm in awe of how deep my body sleeps every single night, which some of you may or may not know that my body does not sleep very well in general. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I haven't even scratched the surface of the scratch of what can be explored. So my friend, again, pranic healer and Hatha Yogi, who owns this facility for the past 8 years, she says, I'm going to bring you to this creek. I'm going to bring you to this mountain. I'm going to bring you to this, boulder. I'm going to bring you to this place where you can do this, this, and this. So I'm super excited over the next 2 months of exploring this place physically as well as energetically, which is a nice spin of what I've been doing over the past month, the month of May 2021, traveling 5,008 miles around the Pacific Northwest. It's good to settle for a little bit. And I mean, literally since my feet has landed in Sedona, I've been going nonstop from sun up to sundown. So it's not been a vacation, but it's definitely been rejuvenating in its qualities. So I had the honor of working with my mentor for 5 hours last night. And a lot of it had to do around healing, around birthdays. She goes, what do you need healing on? Where are your sticking points? What are your blind spots? What are things that you feel intuitively or otherwise that if it was taken care of and resolved, you could rapidly move forward? So we worked on that, and then she did healing on me, and I woke up feeling like, bing, a bright, shiny new penny, maybe even more than a penny. So let us do our questions at this point. Good for you. Recharge and enjoy. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yes, I have seen many people on Facebook saying, happy birthday. And typically I respond the next day because it's hundreds of messages. It's a little bit overwhelming. So I respond, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are typically my days off, right? Just not this coming Friday. I have 3 hours of work in the morning, but it'll be great. So the first question is, how do guides and angels show up once we do lots of service? How do guides and angels show up once we do lots of service? There's many different ways of looking at this question. So angels are from the heart, not from the heart of God, but are from the love aspect of God. So angels preserve, protect, and provide. So when people are about to get into a car accident and then they see something or something happens, that's going to be an angel. The angel is preserving the vehicles. And angels are, you have teeny tiny angels that are on the subatomic level, and then you have angels that guide entire cosmos, right? And so there's a hierarchy of angels, which is a whole class that's actually taught in pranic healing. So there's a hierarchy of angels. And for the longest time, I thought archangels, Archangel Michael, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel, I always thought from my upbringing as a Christian, being born into a Catholic family, being in Massachusetts, and basically if you're from Massachusetts, they put a stamp on your birth certificate and your social security that you are Catholic, because most people in Massachusetts are Catholic, or at least when I was being brought up. I thought the archangels were the highest of the angels, but actually through study, they're some of the lower angels. Of the hierarchy of angels, archangels are actually in the lower tier of angels. Interesting. But they're that powerful. So that gives you an idea of angels in general. So you have angels that permeate all the different kingdoms. You have angels that permeate the different bodies. So your mental body is made up of beings. Your emotional body is made up of beings of light, right? And in Hindu, they're called devas. Deva means shiny one. So a Mahadeva is a great shiny one. So in Hinduism, a Mahadeva is an archangel, a great shiny one, right? So they shine. So the mental body is made up of certain beings that keep your mental body together. Because what does love do? It preserves, protects, provides. So what's keeping your form of your mental body together are the angels of the mental body, the mental plane. Then you have angels of the emotional body. Then you have angels of the etheric body. You have angels of your physical body, right? That are keeping everything together. They're protecting, they're providing, and they're preserving. So when we do service, because the beings, these angels, live to serve. Their existence is to serve. That's why they're here, right? And as one of the longtime pranic healer and Hatha Yogis practitioners says, there are a lot of unemployed angels. There are a lot of unemployed angels, meaning there are beings waiting to be of service. So when we invoke, right, we start each and every meditation with an invocation, every healing with an invocation, and every lecture with an invocation. Why? Because we're bringing in these beings to help the process, right? We're bringing them in, so we are employing them, so they're calibrating and regulating energy within the environment. They're like, oh, that person's not understanding. Let's tweak as much as we can karmic entitlement, right? They can't completely manipulate you, right? Because you have free will. So if a being is going to help you, you can say, I don't want your help, right? You have free will to do that, which shows a what? Lack of receptivity, lack of conductivity, and negative pride, right? But when you invoke, Lord God, please help me. Great ones, please help me. Higher soul, teacher, beings, please help me. They come in and they're like, hey, we're here. What do you need? What do you need? So that you've given them partial permission to start changing energy, manipulating energy, right? Making you open and receptive, right? And so you have angels as infinite as you can imagine. You have angels of prosperity, you have angels of love, you have angels of generosity, you have angels of service, you have angels of protection, you have angels, you name it, anything you can imagine, there's a hierarchy of angels within that thing that you're referring to. So for instance, the angel of love has hierarchy. So there's a great being that runs love for the entire universe and cosmos. And then there's a hierarchy from that being, right? So you can imagine how unbelievably infinite and complex the universe is. But it all works out. There's order within it. It's quite amazing. So within each of the chakras is a being that guards the door of your chakra. So within your heart, there's a being that guards the door of your heart chakra, and it determines which energies go in and which energies go out. So when you are of service, that being gets very happy, because service is what? Of the heart. So when you say, I'm going to I'm going to start a feeding program, that being gets very happy. I'm going to go feed the homeless. I'm going to go tend to the sick. I'm going to give my expertise to people who could use it, that would alleviate their suffering. Whenever you are in service, that being within the heart gets bright, gets very, very excited, very happy, right? And then that what does what? The heart stretches, and that's how you develop your heart. We talk about this before. When you do meditation, your aura expands, your chakras expand, and you're like, I feel so blissed out. But then as you go about the day, the energy starts to be consumed and your aura starts to become normalized. Your chakras become normalized. So the question is, how do you keep your aura big? How do you keep your chakras big? One, by constantly being aware of the presence of God and the great ones. Two, by being of service and practicing the virtues. So which virtue would that be? In this particular case, generosity and non-stealing, loving kindness and non-injury. So two virtues which make up love, right? So we're a being of light, love, and power, right? And the virtues connected to love is generosity and non-stealing, and loving kindness and non-injury. So, so how do guides and angels show up? They show up when we're being of service. So I had a conversation with a client earlier today that she's looking to be inspired of what her purpose is, what her dharma is. Why is she here? Why did she incarnate? I told her, you're thinking about it the opposite way. If you just be of service, whatever thing that you have a teeny tiny itty bitty inkling for, be of service in that capacity, and then you will get more support, more resources, more guides, more things that will come into your life to propel you forward. It's not like you have this huge vision of a flaming bush and you go, aha, I'm supposed to be a doctor, I'm supposed to be an engineer, I'm supposed to write children's books, it doesn't really work like that. Your divine purpose unfolds. It unfolds. So it doesn't mean all the lights have to be green from point A to your end destination, right? It just means, okay, you have to see what's the next light, and then the next light after that, and then the next light, and the next light, and you keep moving in that direction. And then you know you're in alignment when things start, when you have more and more synchronicities in your life, that's an indicator that you're in alignment. It seems like that, right? So when things become easier, it doesn't mean you're not having difficulties. It doesn't mean you're not having setbacks. It doesn't mean you're not banging your head up against the wall from time to time. But overall, there's a flow to your life. You're in alignment with the purpose of your soul. But you can't just sit and go, all right, inspire me. Come on, I'm ready. Inspire me. It doesn't work that way. You have to take action. And then through taking action, you will become inspired. They will give you energy. They will give you energy, right? And then the guides come into your life to do that as well. So Grandmaster Choa Kuk Sui had 3 guides that kept him on his path. Because when he was in his early 20s, there was going to be a tendency for him to follow the family business and make millions of dollars more and not be so focused on the path of healing, on meditation, on spirituality, on writing a book on healing, writing books on healing, creating classes on healing. It was these teachers, these guides came into his life to keep him on the path, right? Because we are what? Beings of free will. Did he have the free will to say, you know what? No, I don't want to do this healing stuff, this meditation stuff, this spirituality stuff. I just want to meditate. I just want to not meditate. I just want to run the family business. That's it. Or I want to party. I want to be a playboy. I'm a good looking guy. I'm a tall Asian guy. I have millions of dollars. I'm just going to rock it out hard. Right. So he had free will. But because he was conductive, because he was receptive, and he was karmically entitled to have great teachers and guides in his life, they kept him on track. So if you look at your own life, have there been people that have kept you on track? Those are your guides. Those are your guides. The guides take form in many different ways. Sometimes the guide could be through a book. The guide could be through an audio, a podcast, YouTube, right? There are certain people that can come into your life for certain periods of time. So if some people are aware, hold on everyone, let me pop this open. So if some people are aware of their angels or guides, is that due to the person and their awareness, or is that due to the angels and guides? Excellent question. It's both. It's both. So a good friend of mine, good clairvoyant down in Florida, or over in Florida, I should say, from where I am. She was working with a client, and this client said, I wish the angels would come to my level so I could hear them better, because I hear something, but I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what they're communicating. And she says, again, it's the opposite. They're not coming to you, you're going to them. You're vibrating to their plane. They're not coming to vibrate to your plane in general. Now, do the great teachers come down in certain forms to give out certain teachings, certain blessings for the people at that time? Yes, because look, what is the Wesak Festival? It's in correlation with the full moon of Taurus at the end of April or the beginning of May, and it's been going on for 2,500 years. And Lord Buddha comes down in an etheric form, which is the form right above the physical form, to do what? Bless the planet, to help the planet evolve. And we're connected to the planet, so it's helping us evolve. So that would be an example of a great teacher stepping down a portion of its energy, because remember, the great teachers aren't male or female, it's masculine or feminine. There's a big difference, right? The great teachers don't have penises and vaginas because they are the soul radiating light, but they have feminine energies and masculine energies. So it depends on what the people need at what time in history that they provide those in the appropriate ratio. Okay. So in general, if you lack awareness, they come. If you have awareness, you can go to them at will. So one is they come to you when you really need them, because they're like, this being is suffering and our job is to provide love. Let's come down, right? But if you have the awareness and understanding of how to contact them, you can contact them moment by moment by moment. You don't have to wait for a crisis in your life. You can say, hey, I work with the angels. I look forward to connecting with you. Can you please help me be of service? Can you help open my heart? Can you help me develop the virtue of loving kindness and non-injury? Can you help me develop the virtue of generosity and non-stealing, right? And they help with all the virtues because there are beings assigned to the virtues, right? Constancy of aim and effort and non-laziness. The angel of industriousness. Thank you for coming into my life and helping me become more industrious. So that being introduces the energy. But because we are beings of free will, they give us the energy, but we still have to use it, right? So you're like, okay, I want to be more industrious. Angel of industriousness, come into my life. The angel comes in, triggers energy in the lower chakras, specifically the basic. Then the being in the basic chakra becomes more active. But guess what? You still have to move. So you have all this energy in the basic. It's revved up. It's ready to go. But you're like, yeah, but I want somebody else to do it. So then the energy gets wasted. It gets dispersed. It's not used. So guess what? You keep asking that being to come back. There will come a point, as Master Wood has expressed, they will stop coming. You don't want to be in that position. So you invoke and then you do nothing with it. You invoke and you do nothing with it. You invoke and you do nothing with it. Those beings will stop coming. Okay, so I hope that tied in. Again, how do guides and angels show up once we do lots of service? You do the service, they show up. The more service you do, the more help you get. Not the other way around. And our guides are in many different levels. We have inner guides and we have outer guides, physical guides. Next question. If one has tendencies to speak ill or create rumor of others, which chakras need to be healed and duration of healing that needs to be done for this vice? Good question. So one of the worst things you can do karmically in relationships is gossip. Because when you gossip about another person, you distort the perception of that person to many, many people, and then many, many people project that distortion back to that person. So if you're like, so-and-so is such a sleazebag, you have 10 people that now think that person is a sleazebag. So they're projecting thoughts, words, and actions congruent with that person being a sleazebag. So it prevents the person from growing. So the karma of that is tremendous. And guess who it goes back to? The person who started the rumor. So gossip is one of the worst things you can do karmically for relationships. So it's typically solar plexus and throat chakra, primarily. So solar plexus deals with enviousness, jealousy, and then it's expressed through the throat, which is connected to what? Negative pride. I'm better than that person. That person's beneath me. I'm lower than that person, right? So pride takes both sides of the spectrum, right? So how long does it take? It depends, right? It depends. If the person has just occasionally said one or two things about another person, gossiping and not even doing it maliciously, but just like, hey, have you noticed so-and-so seems to be a little absent-minded, right? The karma is a bit different than if you specifically and systematically go out of your way to destroy another person's reputation, which is actually quite interesting because how easy is it to spread gossip in social media world? So think about how quickly you can generate a whole boatload of negative karma. So you be very, very careful of what you say about people. So primarily the solar plexus and throat chakra need to be treated. The practice of forgiveness needs to be done to neutralize the negative karma that one is generated by attacking or gossiping about another person. So you have to forgive yourself for gossiping, and then you have to forgive the person that you're gossiping about, like asking for forgiveness. You don't call them up and say, hey, I just want to let you know I've been gossiping about you. Is that cool? Like, do you forgive me? You don't need to do that because forgiveness is not personality to personality. Forgiveness is soul to soul. So you're connecting with your soul is connecting with their soul consciously and saying, I'm sorry for what I did. I've learned my lesson and I won't do it again. Now, could the tendency come up again that you gossip about that person? Yes, because it's a tendency that needs to be disintegrated and removed. the karmic consequences are much, much less if you're proactively forgiving, asking for forgiveness, and doing your best to learn a lesson. Now, if somebody comes to you and say, hey, you shouldn't gossip about other people. You shouldn't gossip about your coworker, about your partner, about whomever. It's not good karma. And the person says, screw it, I'm going to do it now times 10, then the karma will be many, 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 many more times severe. That's how we're learning our lesson. You can learn your lesson through the lords of karma, which is extraordinarily painful. It takes a long time. Or you can learn by teachers, by guides, by people that come in to help you. So if you're humble, you can go, you know what? I'm suffering in this area. This person seemed to have a solution. Let me apply the solution and see what happens. And then you'll notice your life improves. But if negative pride kicks in, the lords of karma will just beat you to your knees. The lords of karma will always win, no exception. I've said that before in other broadcasts and other trainings. The lords of karma will always win. You can't outsmart them. They have a tally of the universe. So, next question. How does one become a genius? By being born as a genius. Hello, we've talked about this. This is so easy. So Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui rediscovered a technique. It's about a 500-year-old technique from India, and it used to be called the Ganesha technique because Lord Ganesh not only is the remover of obstacles, but Lord Ganesh was brilliant, a genius among geniuses, right? That's why partly the big head and the big ears, the big head of an elephant and the big ears of an elephant. It's a symbolism of intelligence. So he rediscovered the technique and validated it because over time, over the 500 years, the technique had been partially distorted and partially lost. So it wasn't doing what it was originally assigned to do. Actually, it used to be a punishment for children in school. So when they weren't doing good in their studies, they were given the Ganesha technique to make them smarter. But in general, the Ganesha technique or the super brain yoga technique energizes both hemispheres of the brain with sex energy, makes the brain more sensitive, increases one's ability to focus, and calms the emotional body. It's transmuting sex energy into the brain. So this technique is extremely potent. I actually gave it to a client a couple weeks ago for the first time. This person had never practiced this technique. She's a lawyer. And after a week and a half of doing it, she noticed unbelievable improvements in her ability to focus more intensely and for longer periods of time without becoming mentally tired. And the funny thing is, it takes a minute to do, and most people don't do it. It's like, how busy could you possibly be that you can't afford 1 minute to become more intelligent? So Master Choa says, if 4, 5, and 6-year-olds practice this technique regularly as little rascals, they will be geniuses as teenagers. Because in order to be a genius, you have to have energy in your brain. Einstein was a genius because his brain had lots of energy. Also, people who are savants, who are geniuses in a very, very, very specific part of their life, that part of their brain is hyper-energized. So we've done brain scans before super brain yoga, and then we've done brain scans after super brain yoga, and it definitely increases blood flow, i.e. energy, to the brain, in the totality of the brain. So it's very, very helpful for memory. Also, you cannot be intelligent without memory. Also very, very important. If you do not have a good memory, you cannot be intelligent, because memory allows you to remember things long enough to connect the dots on things and to synthesize information. So if you can't remember what you learn, you're not very intelligent, right? So memory is a cornerstone to intelligence. So that's how one becomes a genius. Super brain yoga technique every single day. And also, if you start practicing it as an adult, the likelihood of Alzheimer's will be much, much, much less when you age. Because what happens when you age? Sex energy goes down. Sex energy going into the brain goes down. Alzheimer's kicks in. Right? What's another? How does one become a genius? What's another way? Also telling the truth. Telling the truth. Why is that important? Because what's the karma? If you tell the truth, truth will be given to you at higher levels. If you lie, deceive, and cheat, you will be unable to see higher truths. So it's also karmic. So being a genius, like most things, is karmic. That means the person has a high degree of honesty. And interestingly enough, people that are born with mental retardation, where people that were born with mental retardation, I'm gonna say, Chrissy, were previously very, very intelligent people who use their intelligence to manipulate people. So the karma is that. So I hope that helps. Next question. What spiritual practice do you recommend for one to practice on one's birthday? Now, this is not my question. Everyone calm down. This is not my question. This was recommended. So I'm just putting it in there, right? So what can you do spiritually on your birthday? Well, there's something in our Hatha Yoga called Sharanagatis. From the pranic healing perspective, it would be called invocations. So there are levels of truth, right? So you can do an invocation to the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother. Thank you for blessing me with, fill in the blank. What is it that you want blessed? What is it that you want on your birthday? And basically, you have 12 hours before the peak and 12 hours after the peak of your ability to materialize things are greater during your birthday. So Grandmaster Cho would always do lots of blessings and lots of healings, which funny enough is what I did today. It was coincidental. It wasn't set up that way. He would do lots of blessings and lots of healings on his birthday because he has a certain frequency within his auric field to produce results faster. By the way, this will blow your mind. Are you ready? One of the best persons you could have bless your wishes, bless your Kriya Shaktis, bless the thing that you want to materialize. You ready? One of the best people is a pregnant woman. Why? Because a pregnant woman's entire auric field is vibrating at what level? The level of materialization. So they're able to step energy down super fast because they're creating a human being. So they're some of the best people to materialize. So you can go to a pregnant woman and say, hey, can you just give this wish good energy? And they can materialize things. That's an old pranic healing nugget, as it were. So you can do an invocation on your birthday and giving thanks for a certain thing. You can do 108 Sharanagatis, which is a practice taught at the Arhatic Yoga retreats. And it would take you maybe an hour and 45 minutes if you're going at a normal pace to do 108 Sharanagatis. And you say, yes, Master, thank you, Master, at the end of each Sharanagati in relationship to your wish. So you imagine your wish being fulfilled. Yes, Master, thank you, Master, right? So that's something that our Hatha Yoga practitioners can practice. For 52 and a half days at your birthday peak, for 52 and a half days, you are in a wish-fulfilling cycle. It's called your sun cycle, Kabbalistically speaking. So it's a good time to do what? Start new projects. So today I started a major project, a major life project today. And it's funny enough because when I sent the final paperwork for the project, I looked at the time and it was not to the minute, but to this within seconds of the peak of my birthday, like when I was born. I was like, whoa, what are the chances of that? Pretty interesting. As I sent it, I even have a recording, like a timestamp. I go, whoa, that's pretty cool, right at the peak, right? So for 52 days, wish-fulfilling energies are more in your auric field and in your chakras than usual. Does that mean you can't fulfill your wishes outside of that 52-day period? Of course not, right? But the tendency, the quality, the likelihood is greater. If there's clouds in the sky, is the likelihood of it going to rain better than if there are no clouds in the sky, right? So that's all that it means. It's a tendency. People get too hung up on, Mercury retrograde, Saturn retrograde, you know, my tarot said this, my rising sign is that. Yeah, yeah, they're all tendencies. It doesn't mean it's finite and inflexible and a definite thing that's going to happen or not happen. It just means it's a tendency, right? So the more aware you become of tendencies, the better, right? But the stronger you're connected to your higher soul, that's the best. That is the most important thing, your connection to the higher self. So I would recommend doing invocations. I would recommend, if you're a Arhatic practitioner, doing 108 Sharanagatis on your birthday with a specific wish in mind. I would recommend starting something, whatever it is, something that's important to you, that you need a boost of energy, materialization energy, which this is the time. Practicing gratitude also would be very good. Being grateful for life, being grateful for birth, being grateful to your parents for bringing you into incarnation. Gratitude would be important. And then starting something new. Is there a significance of the 52 days? No, it's just been observed. The most powerful cycle is the lunar calendar versus the Gregorian calendar. So the lunar calendar is more accurate. So it's connected more so to the lunar calendar, the 52 days. So it's just what's taught. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Anything else comes up to me to the birthday thing. But it's a good time to do service too on your birthday. Next question. Are essential oils effective in the healing process? Absolutely, unequivocally, yes, yes, yes. So essential oils have prana connected to them, right? So certain oils, certain flowers radiate certain pranas. So if you know them clairvoyantly or through scanning or through someone teaching you, you can say, this person is experiencing this with their chakras, so I can use these oils on these chakras in this sequence. So it's almost like doing a pranic healing protocol, a healing protocol, but instead of using energy from the healer, you're using energy from the oils. So essential oils are extraordinarily powerful. Now, what makes them even more powerful? Cleaning them, consecrating them, and programming them. Because what is essential oil? If you take essential oil and you put it under a microscope, what do you see? Crystals. What do crystals do? Hold on to energy. So if you've had essential oils be held, the bottle itself being held and passed around by many people, it's holding on to those energies. So that's why you want to regularly clean, right? Because you can, how do I put this? You can program oil, but the time that the crystal, the amount of time the crystals hold on to that program is dependent upon the will of the person who programs it. So if the person has a small spiritual cord and they have a teeny tiny baby will, the amount of power that the crystals within the essential oil will hold on to it will be minimal, versus a great teacher blessing it and the oils will stay energized and consecrated for maybe even decades, right? So essential oils are extremely, extremely powerful. I've used them for 15 plus years. Everyone's like, you should be a doTERRA distributor. I don't have an interest in being a doTERRA distributor or a Young Living distributor. I just get the oils, I do my work on the oils, and then that's it. Most of the time I use oils on myself because what? 98% of my clients are, ready, distant. So I can't put oils on them. Aha. But here's a little inside nugget. Energy is transferred from one person to another because we are gridded and corded to Mother Earth. So far, so good. So I can take oils on my body and put them energetically on your body, and you will have an effect. It's super powerful, but again, it's dependent upon many factors, right? If the healer's intention is not very clear and the energy body of the healer is not very big, the effect will be minimal. Okay, so you can transfer the energy of essential oils distantly. But yes, essential oils are very, very effective in the healing process. Next question. I feel like my medications are making me sick. Would you recommend I stop taking them? It depends. Number one, pranic healing is complementary. Complementary. We do not replace allopathic medicine. Unless you're an MD, you cannot prescribe or diagnose. That's it. So any pranic healer that says, oh, you're on meds, you should get off your meds, that person is doing wrong, right? We always say, go to your doctor, go to your psychiatrist, go to your general practitioner, and ask them what to do. Our specialization is the energy body. Their specialization is the physical body. Stay in your lane. Have I healed people off of their medications? Yes, but only after they go to their doctor and they give the feedback to the doctor and say, hey, this is my feedback. I I want to see if I can lower my dosage. I want to see if I can stop entirely. Right? Blood pressure medication, psychotic medication. So as healers, we do not, under any circumstances, unless we are an MD or a licensed healthcare worker, we do not tell people what to do or not do. Always point them back to their healthcare provider. Always. Next question. I keep falling back into old patterns and can't seem to break the pattern. What would you recommend? There's actually a really funny SNL skit from the late 80s with Bob Newhart. Oh, it's so funny. And he's a psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever, right? It's psychotherapist. He's analyzing people. And so this woman comes in and she's sharing her problems. And she goes, I had this tendency to, bite my nails, and I have a tendency to do this. And he says, okay, what else? And she goes, well, I have this tendency. And he goes, and do you like that? She goes, no. He goes, then stop it. And like, that's the whole bit. Like every time she shares something that she's going through, a difficult she's having with her relationship or with her whatever, he goes, then stop it. Right? Because she's doing something that causes her suffering. So he says, just stop the thing that you're doing to cause you suffering. Right? I'm drinking and it causes me suffering. Then stop drinking. Right? So there's a level of truth to that. What is the level of truth? The will. What allows a person to go cold turkey, meaning completely and utterly stopping the habit or the addiction that they do, is the ajna. So when the ajna is super clean, super strong, if you could look at it clairvoyantly, brilliant electric violet light enters the ajna, and then it sends a signal to the lower chakras into the entities and elementals of that pattern, and it tells them to vacate. So the ajna says, hey, all drinking entities, elementals, all smoking entities, elementals, all lazy entities and elementals, out. But that only happens when the person has a strong connection to their higher soul. Now, that can happen in a moment of time. I'll give you an example. My father was an alcoholic for 15 years. 15 years. Lived on the street, ate out of garbage cans. No joke. For 15 years. My father. Not some like dude I heard of from another dude, but my actual father lived on the street, ate out of garbage cans, had friends that choked to death on their own vomit in the wintertime in Massachusetts, like all kinds of stuff. So one day, he just said, I want to be able to be with my sons, right? Because he wasn't financially stable, he wasn't emotionally stable, but he wanted to be with his sons, right? Because we were living with our mother at the time, my two oldest brothers and myself. And one day he just woke up and he said, I'm done. That's it. So at that moment in time, my father's higher soul sent the signal down the spiritual cord into the ajna, instructed the ajna, hey, all of you entities and elementals connected to smoking, or I'm sorry, to drinking, get out. And that was it. He never drank again. To go from 15 years of blackout, being like a blackout drunk, to never drinking again, signal from the higher soul. That's why healing always comes from the higher soul. So all the great teachers and healers and mentors and meditation teachers and all the guides and helpers, all they're doing is trying to access your higher soul to come down more, because your higher soul is what heals you. It's not the healer healing you. It's not even the great ones healing you. It's the cooperation of your little self and your big self healing you. So if you have a tendency to fall back into old patterns, number one, get healing. If you have a smoking addiction, get healing. If you have drinking addiction, get healing. Why? Because the protocols disintegrate and remove the entities, the elementals, the thought forms that make it difficult for what? Your higher will to become activated enough to move forward. Meaning your will is weaker than the programs. That's what an addiction is, right? But if your will is stronger and bigger and more developed than the programs, they can be floating around in your aura all day long. And you're like, yeah, I'm not going to have a drink because this is stronger than the little tiny programs, right? So getting healing, highly recommended. Number two, with any addiction, the person has to have the will to transform. If somebody says, if you ask them the question, do you want to stop smoking? Yeah, I guess it would be nice. Do you want to stop drinking? Sure. I mean, okay. If the will is not there, the healing will be temporary and the person will lapse. So the person has to have will. Go, I'm done. They may not be able to do it entirely. That's why they need healing. Remove the thoughts, the feelings, the programs, the addiction energies, the entities, the elementals, right? And then their will gets activated in the healing, and then they continue to activate their will throughout the day, and then they're healed, right? So getting healing, activating the will, like saying, this is it, like I'm done, like I'm no longer participating in this behavior. What else with patterns? Also having understanding. So that helps activates the ajna, deals with understanding the forehead and the crown. So when you go to the source as to why you have the addiction, what does the addiction cover up? Pain, fear, inadequacy, unworthiness. Ah, okay. But if you love yourself, if you have good self-esteem, good self-worth, good self-image, you don't do things that are counter to that, right? So the energy has to match. If you have good self-esteem, you do things that a person with good self-esteem does. If you don't love yourself, you do things that to destroy yourself. So also having understanding. Why do I have this addiction? Why do I have this pattern? What is this fulfilling within me? Right? And most all addictions are in the solar plexus because the solar plexus deals with desire. It's the seat of desire. So when you desire something, moderately, it's the solar plexus. When you desire something excessively, it's the solar plexus. So most all addictions, solar plexus, throat, and ajna in almost every case, no matter what the addiction, shopping addiction, sex addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, almost all of them, solar plexus, throat, and ajna. A person who is in addiction has a compromised will because the programs, you guys have to understand something, programs consume energy, right? So let's say the person has a big energy body, big aura, big chakras. They also have big programs. Let's say the healer works on the aura, works on the chakras, but doesn't work on the programs. Guess what gets the energy in the healing? The programs. So the addiction can actually become worse, right? So you have to destroy the programs first Then you do the aura, the chakras, etc. So those are some recommendations. Get psychotherapy, develop your will, have understanding as to why you are the way you are, or why you do that thing that you do. Isn't that a movie? That thing you do? Tom Hanks. True or not true? Tom Hanks, isn't it? Pretty sure it's Tom Hanks. Next question. I tend to cry a lot during meditation. Is that okay, or is there something wrong with me? It's not okay. You need to stop crying during meditation. Yeah, it's perfectly okay to cry during meditation. It's okay to cry before meditation, during meditation, after meditation. It's a release valve for the emotional body. Yeah. It's a fine line, but the fine line is actually where everything makes sense. It's not denying your emotions. If you're angry, it's not about saying, I'm not angry, because that's suppressing and oppressing your feelings, which will hurt you in the long run. At the same time, it's not about expressing your emotions so much that you are dominated by them. So it's the fine line of going, hey, my emotions are angry right now, but I'm not my emotions. So you acknowledge and validate the feeling, but then you recognize that you're also not the feeling. So that's the problem, because people have a tendency to be on the extreme. I'm not angry. I'm not prideful. I'm not ungrateful. Right? Well, you sold me, right? Or they're on the other, which I've heard many times, or they are dominated by their negative emotions. What's the path of the Tao? The middle path. Hey, I have these feelings. I feel like boundaries were crossed. I feel like you hurt my feelings, and I want to let you know that. And I'm not my feelings. It's both, right? So if you cry during meditation, great. If you get angry during meditation, that's okay. If you get sad during meditation, that's okay. Now, here's the thing. If it is prolonged, meaning every time you meditate, you're crying, every time you meditate, you're becoming angry, every time you meditate, you get depressed, that is something that is probably connected to Kundalini syndrome that needs to be taken care of. One needs healing, right? But if it's occasionally you're doing a powerful meditation, a deep meditation, and all of a sudden you start crying, that's fine. Let it out. Just don't identify with the memories that are coming up. Oh, that time that I said that and did that, and that person did this and said that. No, because then you're becoming entangled with the feeling and you're identifying with that feeling. You are not that feeling. You are the soul, right? Next question. So no, there's nothing wrong with you. Next question. Why do we pedestalize spiritual teachers? Why do we pedestalize spiritual teachers? Why do we put spiritual teachers on a pedestal? Primarily because of low self-esteem. We see someone that has answers that we don't have. We see people have lifestyles that we don't have. We have maybe a sense that this person has inner peace or wisdom or access to information that we don't have. So there's a level of enviousness, there's a level of jealousy, there's a level of not feeling good enough, not being good enough. So we have a tendency to put someone on a pedestal. Master Chola says, look, the teacher's still growing and evolving. The teacher still makes mistakes. The teacher is not perfect, right? So never pedestalize someone. They may have abilities that you don't have. They may have ninja powers that they developed further than you, but it doesn't mean that at the core they are better than you and you are lesser than them, right? So, and it's interesting because when people put a teacher on a pedestal, then that teacher does something, then they're destroyed. Like, I can't believe so and so did this. And they're like, that's it. I give up on my spiritual practice. I give up on all the things. It's like similar to many yoga instructors who became very famous and were offering value, and people were getting value from their classes, from their workshops, from their techniques, from their whatever. And then they found out, dun, 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 that that teacher had mistresses, that was cheating, that was blowing money on cocaine, whatever. So It's partly the karma of the student to be part of, how do I put this, to be connected to a teacher that will teach them that lesson. What's the lesson? Forgiveness. What's the lesson? Understanding. What's the lesson? Compassion. What's the lesson? Discernment. Right? If you don't practice, Master Choa said this, he goes, if you don't practice discernment, part of the karma is you will be deceived. So how do we practice discernment? We ask questions. How do we practice discernment? We do scanning. How do we practice discernment? We look clairvoyantly. How do we practice discernment? Look at the track record of the person. That's how we practice discernment, right? So if we go through all that and we still get deceived, then hey, it is what it is. But most of the time, people do none of those things. They believe the person wholeheartedly with no discernment, and then they're deceived. They're taken advantage of, sexually taken advantage of, financially taken advantage of, right? Intellectually taken advantage of. So that's the karma. So if you don't practice discernment, the karma is deception. You're like, I don't need to research this person. Okay, fine. Then when they take all your money, there's your lesson. You learned. Right? In every single class in pranic healing, it says use intelligent evaluation, practice discernment, experiment, and make your own conclusion. That's it. Here's the technique. Here's our theory as to why we think the technique works. Let's experiment. What's the feedback you got from that experiment? Oh, it seems to be in alignment with the theory. Perfect. Then keep moving forward. Well, it doesn't seem to be in alignment with the theory. That's okay too. Then let's move on. Right? So you practice discernment. You ask questions. You don't take everything hook, line, and sinker. So when we pedestalize somebody, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. Because to expect perfection from a human being that's not a holy master is not intelligent. Great spiritual teachers are not perfect. Hello. A great spiritual teacher can produce miracles in your life and miracles in the lives of other people, but it doesn't mean they're perfect. So you have to take the good with the not so good. Right? You have to take the good with the not so good. So you practice discernment, humility, compassion, understanding. Hey, this person has these good qualities. This person has these not so good qualities. I'll take what I can. Like Master Choa says, the guru is a supermarket. You come in, you grab the items you need, you leave the items you don't. Like, ugh, sardines. Sardines are gross. So then you leave the sardines on the counter, right? You don't take them off the shelf. So you may see sardines with a certain spiritual teacher, something you don't like about that spiritual teacher. That's okay. Are you getting value in other areas? But to have the expectation that the teacher is going to give you everything all the time, 100% perfectly how you want it, it's not realistic. Some people say I talk too fast, right? Some people say that I'm too obnoxiously handsome that they can't focus on the message, right? So it's like you take the good with the bad, you roll with it. All right, what do we got? Next question. Oh, last question. Is it possible to be too rigid in my spiritual practice? Yes. Yes. So you don't want to do your spiritual practice by rote, meaning you just go in, you sit down, you hit play, and then you just like whatever, whatever, whatever. Raise your hands, lower your hands, be aware of this, be aware of that. You don't want to do it by rote. You want to have awareness of what you're doing, right? You want to have awareness of what you're doing. So the limiting factor between you having a great Twin Hearts meditation and a not so great Twin Hearts meditation is you. You're the limiting factor. Meaning, divine energies are around us at all times. We are swimming in an ocean of what? An ocean of prana, which is infinite. So right now, your energy body has the choice to access high vibrational energies or low vibrational energies. It's entirely up to you. So what do you want to experience? You are the limiting factor. You. Bliss, intense bliss is around you right now. But because your chakra system and your auric field isn't purified enough and attuned enough, You can't experience it, but it doesn't mean it's not there. Avani, I'm a namaste. Does that make sense? So when I say don't become rigid in your spiritual practice, it's like, how do I put this? So Master Choa says you reach a point of the no meditation technique, right? You reach the no meditation technique. So people become fixated, calcified with their practice of like, it has to be done like this. And so those moments, thank you, Ivani, those moments of flexibility, those moments of spontaneity, those moments when your higher soul's coming down and going, I have something to show you. Hey, higher soul, get away from me. I'm doing my meditation. Get away from me, right? So there comes a point in every person's spiritual practice that they have to let go of their spiritual practice. Some of you are like, whew, thank God, saved me years out, right? But you will know that as you practice regularly. So do you see the paradoxical truth? Meaning in the beginning, you have to be rigid. You have to follow simple instructions, right? Because you don't have discernment, you don't have awareness, you don't have understanding, you don't have feedback, right? But then at a certain point of your spiritual practice, things start revealing themselves to you and you start seeing bigger and bigger and bigger pictures. So you become less rigid in your spiritual practice. But the person who starts with that less rigidity is coming from negative pride. Meaning there are many levels of the Twin Hearts meditation. I'll give you an example of what I mean from a healing perspective. In the very higher levels of healing, the teacher merges his or her energy body with yours and you become healed. So then what would that mean? I'm a neophyte. I'm a new practitioner who's learning about healing. And I go, well, then I want to do that. It doesn't work that way. So you have to start with the basics, learn the basics, practice the basics, master the basics. And then at some period, you go, aha, and you're there. Does that make sense? So it doesn't serve you to be rigid with your spiritual practice long term, but it does serve you to be rigid with your spiritual practice in the beginning. And then as you become more developed, you have more awareness, more understanding, more feedback, then you start tweaking and critiquing and letting go. The old form falls away. Remember, Master Choa says truth is dynamic. Truth is dynamic. So you have to let go of the old ways, but you have to know what the old ways are first before you can let go of them. Okay. Ta-da! So I hope that helps. I hope that inspires each and every one of you. Again, this is about practical spirituality. Yes. So it's not about just learning, absorbing. It's about learning, applying, getting feedback, getting understanding, and then growing and evolving. Thanks, Beth, for that big fat heart, especially on my birthday. So nice. What else? What else? Yeah, so that's it. So we'll post this in the group tonight. The cool thing about doing it like this on the laptop versus the high definition camera is that it loads like that fast. Typically, an hour long thing takes like 45 minutes to load. This takes like 10 minutes to load. Big difference, right? But the quality isn't the same. Hey, everyone relax. Are you here for the quality? Or are you here for the content? Come on, which is it? Okay, so let us close. Send me your questions. You're welcome, Chrissy. Send me your questions either through Facebook Messenger, yes, or through email. Those are the two ways. Please don't send me questions on WhatsApp because it's harder to take the question and put it on the computer. Does that make sense? You seem more energized. Go with it. Enjoy. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've been actually getting sleep 3 days in a row. I don't know what to do with myself. I never get good sleep 3 days in a row. So thank you, Sedona. Thank you to all the beings. So place your hands on your heart. Be aware of your heart. Feel the love, the happiness, the joy. Chrissy, make sure you're not driving with your eyes closed. We talked about this. Be aware of your crown. Feel the crown expanding. Remember, the crown is the entry point of spiritual energy into the body. And be aware of your heart and your crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Cho Koksui, Lord Mahaguru Jamiling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, to Saraswati, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, to the angels of awareness, understanding, inner transformation, of intelligence, to our divine selves, our higher souls, we thank you all for your great, great blessings. Thank you for healing us. Thank you for helping us. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for protecting us on our paths, preserving, providing for us. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. With tremendous gratitude, respect, and love, we thank you in full faith. So be it, and so it is. Thank you. Avai said you can try WhatsApp web, then it will be easier to get questions. Okay. Good solution. I like that. Thank you. All right. Lots of love to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your amazing Thursday. I'll be posting the other Thursday Q&A this week. So send me your questions so I have some more material. And then we'll be doing another Sunday Twin Hearts lecture and healing as well. So we owe you guys 2 of those. So I'm going to get that done this week. Okay. And I will talk to you soon. This is Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant. Wish you a beautiful day, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. Atma, namaste. Bye-bye.